Welcome to Working with Comps. Comps are components, and these operators are unique when compared to other operator families because they can contain other networks. Let's use the Tab key to open up the Create dialog so we can take a closer look at the component family. Here we can see that comps are actually made up of 4 subfamilies: 3D objects, panels, other, and dynamics. We do a lot of work in TouchDesigner with 3D objects and panels, so we're going to get started there today. I want to create a simple render network, and so I'm actually going to get started here with our 3D objects. I want to add multiple operators to the network at the same time, and to do that, I'm going to hold down the Control key and click on Camera, Geometry, and Light. Next, I'm going to release the Control key, head over to the Top family, and grab a Render Top to add here into my network. The render top uses the camera as its perspective and then renders the scene that is made up of our geometry and lights inside of our network. With our geometry component, let's take a look at how we can actually rotate this geometry. I'm going to middle mouse click on the rotate parameter, bring up the value ladder, and then select the increment that I want to transform, and then drag left or right to change the value ladder. Now, if you're wondering where this torus is actually coming from, it's located inside of our geometry comp. So let's take a closer look. We can zoom inside of our geometry component either by using the mouse wheel or by using the I key on the keyboard. Here we can see that our torus is in fact located inside of our geometry component, and this is actually what we're rendering. Geometry components, in fact, all components can hold other networks inside of them. And this is hugely useful when it comes to organizing our networks and thinking about how we build either scenes or UI elements. Let's actually move up. We're going to zoom out by using the scroll wheel and take one final look here at our scene that we've set up. Now, 3D rendering is just one thing that we can do with components, and in fact, we can also build our user interfaces with them. Let's use the Tab key to bring up the Create dialog, head back to our components, and add a container here into our network. Containers are how we organize UI elements inside of TouchDesigner, and all containers have a concept of a panel that is associated with them. A panel is a canvas where we can actually lay out our operators or lay out our user interface elements. And we can also interact with the panel itself. To get a better sense of that, let's actually bring up our Create dialog, head over to Channel Operators, and add a panel chop to our network. Next, let's click and drag our container right on top of our panel chop. And I'm going to just increase the size of our panel chop here a little bit. Next, let's make our container viewer active by using the A key or by using the viewer active flag in the bottom right-hand corner. And now we can see that we get some information from how we're interacting with this container. We get a roll U position or an inside U position, and this tells us where our cursor is, where our mouse is. If we click and drag, we get a UV value, and we can also see that these select channels change as well. So we can see that I've clicked with the left mouse button as in L select, M select, R select. That tells me which mouse button I've used. We can also organize other user interface elements inside of our container. So let's go ahead back to the component page here, and let's add a button component. Now I'm going to use the top bottom connectors here to create some hierarchy between our elements. And we can see once I connect my button to my container, my button in fact shows up inside of my user interface panel. Let's go ahead and actually add a slider here as well. And I'm going to also use these top bottom connectors. Now you can see that these stack right on top of one another, but if we select our container component, I'm going to first make it non-viewer active and then select on it, click on it to select it. And now if I head over to children, I see that I have some align options. So I can actually align left and right. I can align right to left. And if I was to say left to right, I can also select its justification. So do I want to justify horizontal, justify vertical? I have lots of options for how I actually want to arrange my operators here inside of my container. Finally, let's take a look at one other operator that we frequently want to use in the component family, and that is our window component. So here from other, let's grab window component. Let's add it to our network. And now let's add a movie file in top. The window component can select an operator or a component to display. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on the window component. We're going to click and drag our operator and drop it right on the window operator parameter. And then I'm going to specify which monitor I want this to show up on. And next, I'm going to go ahead and open this as a separate window. This will create a floating window that we can use for our projects. We can also do things like turn the borders off and on for our component if we want to display or not display these window elements, as well as a number of the other features that we typically want to interact with. We can use tops, texture operators, or we can use other components that we're using as our window operator. And in fact, if we go ahead and select again, open a separate window, we'll now see that we have a floating window that is just our interface element that we've comprised. This is just the beginning of how we can actually interact with components and how we can use components inside of our network. And there's lots of other things we can do with them.